Today, we are diving into one of the most bizarre technological mysteries of the 20th century. It's a story that involves top scientists, the Vatican, and a machine that, well, a machine that could supposedly look right into the past. We're talking about the Chronovisor. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. An organization that's been around for 2,000 years, with more secrets than pretty much any government agency on the planet. So what could possibly be its most protected, its most hidden piece of information? Get this, we're talking about 53 miles of archives. Just let that number sink in for a moment. It's a seemingly endless maze of shelves holding centuries of history, theology, and, well, maybe things we can't even begin to imagine. And this is where our story takes a sharp left turn, away from ancient scrolls and deep into the realm of science fiction. The claim was that the Vatican's biggest secret wasn't about hiding the past, but about having a way to literally view it. So, let's kick things off with the man at the center of it all, the one who claimed to have opened this impossible window. So, meet Father Marcello Ernetti. On the surface, he was a pretty straight-laced academic, a respected Benedictine monk, an expert in ancient music, spending his days with Gregorian chants. But he claimed to be leading a double life, one that had a lot more to do with physics than with hymns. The core idea was surprisingly kind of simple. Ernetti's theory was that every powerful event, every word, every action, leaves behind a sort of electromagnetic echo. So his device wasn't a time machine in the sense that it could transport you. It was more like a super powerful receiver that could tune into these echoes from history, essentially a kind of time television. Now, obviously, a project this huge couldn't be a one-man job. And the team that Ernetti claimed he put together, well, it was nothing short of legendary. And this is the detail that really gave the story so much weight. We're not talking about some fringe theorist in a basement here. Ernetti named names like Enrico Fermi, a key architect of the atomic age, and Wernher von Braun, the guy who literally took humanity to the moon. He was claiming some of the greatest minds of the century were in on this whole thing. So, if you have this incredible machine, what do you tune into? Well, Ernetti claimed they witnessed some absolutely pivotal moments in history. They supposedly watched the great Roman orator Cicero, they saw Napoleon, and then they aimed for the most significant event in the history of their faith. They claimed to have witnessed the Crucifixion of Christ. Of course, a story this wild needs proof. And for one spectacular moment, back in 1972, it really looked like Ernetti had delivered it to the world. This was the Bombshell. In an Italian magazine, Ernetti didn't just tell his story, he published a photograph. Not a painting, not some artist's interpretation, but a supposed snapshot of the face of Christ, captured directly from the screen of his time viewer. The implications were just staggering. But almost as fast as the story appeared, it just vanished. The word is that the Vatican itself stepped in. The Chronovisor was apparently deemed too powerful, way too dangerous for humanity. It was taken apart, the plans were seized, and the whole project was buried under the highest level of secrecy. Then, things get even weirder. Years later, in 1988, the Vatican issued an official decree. It stated that anyone using an instrument that could record or view the past would be excommunicated. Which, raises a huge question. Why would you make a rule banning a machine that you claim never even existed? It's an absolutely incredible story. But as you can probably guess, when you start to pull on the threads, this fantastic tale really begins to unravel. So let's start with the biggest piece of evidence, that photo. Well, it didn't take long for people to realize it looked familiar. A little too familiar. Turns out it was strikingly similar to a postcard, one that showed a wooden crucifix that's housed in a sanctuary in Umbria, Italy. And when you overlay the two images, it's not just similar, it's an identical match, right down to the lighting and the shadows. The photo from the past was just a photo of a modern sculpture. And the other claims? They fall apart pretty fast too. Ernetti said he transcribed a lost Roman play, but when actual Latin scholars looked at it, they found words and phrases that were just wrong for the time period. They didn't exist back then. And as for his so-called dream team, there is absolutely zero record, nothing in their extensive journals, letters, or calendars, that Fermi or von Braun ever even met Father Ernetti, let alone worked with him. So, okay, the evidence really points overwhelmingly to this being a hoax. But with stories like this one, there are always a few loose ends, a few little details that just keep the mystery alive. According to people close to him, right up until he died, Father Ernetti insisted the Chronovisor was real. He supposedly admitted he used the postcard photo, but only because the real image was too blurry. He maintained the machine itself existed and was dismantled because it was just too dangerous. And we're still left with that really strange Vatican decree. And maybe the biggest question of all, why? Why would a respected monk cook up such a detailed, elaborate fabrication? So, is there a secret screen still glowing somewhere in those 53 miles of archives? Probably not. But the story of the Chronovisor is just a great reminder that sometimes the most compelling secrets aren't the ones that are true, but the ones we wish were. It really forces you to ask, deep in the heart of the world's most secretive institution, what other impossible ideas are just sitting there gathering dust?